Record here. Wonderful. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me today. I'm so happy to see you. It is our October chapter leadership webinar, Connect webinar. So I am super excited to see everyone. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right, perfect. Are we there? Yes, perfect. That is awesome. All right. So today we are going to be talking about something that I think we're all coming off of Girls in Aviation Day. We know that volunteering, recruiting them, maintaining them is just so important to all of our chapters, to our operations, to everything that we do. So, where did they go? If we had a great volunteer, where might they have gone, or how do we find them in the first place? So let's go ahead and just get right into that. There are a couple of things that you are going to see here just as a warning. There are a couple of slides here that I did reuse from our March Chapter Leadership Connect, but they were such good slides. I wanted to make sure that I included them for those that may have not had the opportunity to see that March webinar. So we're here, we're ready, and we're ready to go do great things. WAI volunteers are absolutely 100% hands down the backbone of this organization. We could not do anything that we do without you and the chapters and the volunteers that you have there, because you are our boots on the ground. The handful of us that are here in the international office, and I say here by meaning all over the United States, we can't do this on our own. So you all are the ones that are getting involved in your local communities, spreading the mission, purpose, vision of what WAI and your chapter. You're the one whose passion is coming through to these people as you're talking to them and telling them all about what we do. We want to remind everyone that opportunities come in all shapes and sizes, and there's something that is here at WAI for everyone. So let's take a minute and pause and celebrate you, because you as leaders are the ones that are out there and you're doing the organizing and you're helping form committees and you're finding those volunteers. And that it's a hard job. It's not easy, as we all know. And you do such an amazing job at everything that you do and getting people involved, engaged, and inspired every day. So a little recap. This is one of those slides. I did add a new picture, but we have the same information. Things to remember: many nonprofits have no paid staff and are completely run by volunteers. Volunteering is shown to have positive effects on the volunteers' mental health and well-being. You get that positive, happy feeling every time you volunteer and you do something, and that's what brings people coming back for more. Remember, importantly, that volunteers cannot receive compensation or any in-kind benefits for the time and service that they provide to an organization. Receiving any of these can place the organization's nonprofit status in jeopardy. And that, most importantly, a volunteer's time has value. Estimates place that the dollar amount attached to this is between $28 and $29 per person per hour of service that is given. I know we have some of our chapter leaders that work for Boeing, and Boeing has a volunteer program that they donate $20 per hour per person for their volunteers that are going out and doing things in their community. So, there are companies out there that recognize that while volunteerism is so desperately needed, we also want to make sure that there is some sort of a value add to that. And so they are then donating that money directly to whatever charitable organization that the volunteer is participating in. Couple of statistics here. 69% of volunteers spend less than 10 hours or less, apparently I like the word less that day, per month of their time volunteering. So 10 hours per month is about what people on average are willing to give on their volunteerism. 66% of volunteers have decreased the amount of time that they volunteer or stopped altogether. in the COVID world that we have been living in and that we are still living in, but kind of starting to emerge from. People were really active before and not so much now. There's a hesitancy sometimes to get people together. And then 65% of those who have continued volunteering during the pandemic have engaged in mostly virtual or remote volunteer activities. Before the pandemic, only about 19% of volunteers actually did their work virtually. Why are volunteers so important? And for some reason, volunteers are integral to any organization. Studies show that volunteers reduce operating costs for nonprofits by donating their time while giving the organization the assistance that they need to move forward. They help the organization connect with the community. They allow the organization to build their donor and sponsor base by engaging their networks to become interested or involved. Again, I mentioned Boeing there earlier. There are other companies out there that do the same. So trying to see if you can find those companies and those volunteers and get them involved with whatever project that it is that you're doing is a great thing, great idea. So how do we recruit passionate volunteers? The first thing that we need to do is identify what our needs are. Once we've identified those, create job descriptions so that your volunteers know what's being requested of them and what they can expect from the experience. I think that we've probably all participated in something that has been a little less than organized at times, and not necessarily here, because I know you all are absolutely on it, but other things where you're not really sure where to go or where to park, or what is needed of you when you show up. So make sure that you've got all of that clearly defined and that your volunteers know what they're coming in for. Use your current volunteers as a resource. Current volunteers can often recommend their favorite experiences to their friends, families, and peer groups and get them excited because they're excited about what they're doing. They can also assist in sending out recruitment emails or letters to the community. But a really, really important thing, make sure that your volunteers are ready and able to explain the mission, purpose, and vision of Women in Aviation International and why they are so passionate about volunteering specifically for you. You want people to feel, again, that you want them to feel that passion. You want them to have this drive. And when people see that enthusiasm from you or from your volunteers, that's what's going to engage them. That's what's going to make them want to continue coming back or to give of themselves. Again, people's time is important to them. We realize that now more than ever, that people need to have balance within their lives and harmony. And so make sure that they are excited about getting out here and telling everyone else about what it is that they're volunteering for you. Reach out to your former volunteers. If you've got some folks that are no longer volunteering, don't hesitate to ask for honest and open feedback. Some may be lacking time for a commitment, but will return later. And some may have some really good information that will help you to evaluate some unknown challenges. Perhaps there was again a parking challenge, or the date and time coincided with other things that were going on within the community and they had multiple commitments. That's good information to know. We don't always know what it is that's going on, maybe behind the background, and things that we need to have in our notes and be paying attention to for the rest of our volunteers. Collaborate with local businesses. We are in aviation and aerospace. We are doing some great work. We've got some amazing people behind us. Go out to the local FBOs, go to the main airport, go to the avionics people, go to all of these people who are within your circle, because you can find volunteers through them too. They may be interested in membership. They may be interested in just simply volunteering some of their time, and they may also be getting their groups active, engaged, and involved with something that they're passionate about within the industry too. They just didn't know that we were here to give to. And then connect with other civic groups in your area. We know that the youth groups, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the Girl Scouts, the Big Brothers, Big Sisters organizations, those are all wonderful organizations for us to get involved in when we're looking to get our participants for things like Girls in Aviation Day. But those can also be people who come out and assist with us. Some of those civic groups, they have volunteer hours that they're kiddos need to get. Or, again, you never know that you're going to find somebody who's truly interested in aviation and aerospace and they just didn't know we were here. So they can take all of their passions and roll those into one, volunteering with whatever group it is that they currently belong to, and then adding another to their list. Make sure that we are advertising on social media, any of your platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, Instagram groups, whatever social media that your chapter utilizes, leverage that, get it out there that you're looking for people. Add a volunteer page to your website where people can easily click through. And one of the great ideas that I saw was a Google form that specifically says, hey, how much time do you think you have? What are you specifically interested in? Are you interested in only Girls in Aviation Day, or are you interested in coming and helping us at the air show to talk to potential new members? Are you interested in showcasing at one of the regional forums, or volunteering at base to help your WAI team there and get to know them? Recruit from your local colleges or your schools. There are a lot of STEM schools that are out there that you can get kiddos from, or young people from your colleges when they're in the trades. See what it is that they would like to do. Again, there are colleges that require volunteer hours, so maybe you can pull some of your volunteers from those requirements. And then there are volunteer matching sites out there, and I've listed a few here for you that you can note. Volunteer Match, Idealist, Catch a Fire, Create the Good, Points of Light, Engage, and Taproot Plus are just a few that are out there. In larger communities, these are probably really boisterous or more robust programs. In smaller communities, we know that may not be something that's attainable, but if that never hurts to try. The only thing that anybody can do is maybe tell us no, or tell us that it's not available. Now that we have them, how do we keep them? We want to make sure that we have a thank you plan in place from the very beginning. We can never say thank you enough to members and volunteers and people who are so willing to give to us. And we want to make sure that they are recognized for their time and effort, because they want to be recognized for their time and effort. If we just let them go away without saying thank you, or and sometimes maybe just even going over the top with how appreciative we are, people might walk away and say, well, gosh, I don't even know why I bothered to do that, because it didn't really matter that I was here. Let them know often how much you appreciate them for their time and effort for Women in Aviation and International and your chapter, by doing things like making a phone call, sending them an email, following up with a text message. Make those messages personal to them as you're saying thanks. While recruiting is definitely important, we want to make sure that we are maintaining our current volunteers. It is equally as imperative and important. We know that recruiting volunteers is a time-consuming process and sometimes difficult. How do we keep people engaged and involved? Pay attention to your current volunteers' experiences. Ask for open and honest feedback, and utilize lessons learned to improve your program and build upon it. One of the things that we want to do is make sure that to keep those volunteers, that the roles align with who they are, their personalities, their skills, their interests, and their schedule availability. So I'm going to pause here because there are a few examples that I can think of now with some volunteerism in my past. And I've heard, commentary of, oh, well, that person wasn't the right volunteer because, they just kind of stood in the corner and they did X, Y, or Z. Well, if you actually took the time to get to know that volunteer is extremely introverted. People may just not be their thing, but they are hands that are there to help you. They've got their time, they've got their energy, they're there. Find what fits them best. Maybe it's stuffing Girls in Aviation Day bags. Maybe it's helping clean up and pick up trash. Maybe it is, just doing safety perimeter walks to make sure that everyone is in the area that they're supposed to be in. Get what's going to be right for the person, because if it doesn't feel right for you, it probably doesn't feel right for them. And if it doesn't feel right for them, they may not be back. Be sensitive to burnout. People are giving of themselves and their time, but they also have other commitments and constraints with their lives. We have to be understanding of that. We have to be understanding of the fact that, again, Girls in Aviation Day is going on, and your Girls in Aviation Day team has been traveling for the last 4 weeks straight. We have to know that there are other things going on in their lives, because if we tend to get a little frustrated or unhappy about the time that they are willing to give, we'll lose that too. They can feel that, they will know it, and you may not be as successful with that recruitment as you wanted to be. Make sure that they come back. We want to set our expectations and be flexible. um, Natural disasters happen. We had a natural disaster occur in Arizona right before Girls in Aviation Day. They had to quickly put a pause on everything and try to figure out what their best mode of operation was going to be and how they were going to be the most effective. Focus on building relationships. You know, say hi, get to know people. What's their story? Why are they there? What are they passionate about? What's bringing them to you today? Those relationships are going to mean so much, because you're not just creating a relationship with a person, you're creating a relationship with that person's entire network. If it's a bad experience, they are likely to, either not recommend, or they are likely to maybe have some negative things to say, and we don't ever want that to happen. And then provide consistent training and support from the team. Annie and I worked really hard on your event host kit this year to make sure that there were some really good volunteer guidelines in there, some emergency procedures. Make sure that your volunteers are familiar with all of those things. If they're going to be on a station for you, or if they're going to be at an air show and they're going to be talking about the chapter, make sure that we've provided them training about who the chapter is and what they're doing, and what your expectation is from them. Please don't be on your phone the entire time where we're sitting at a regional group, because there are people walking by and they can see that you're not paying attention to them. That's a great training moment, particularly for people like us who have busy lives every day and our phones are going off constantly. Make sure that our volunteers know it's perfectly fine to step away and take a phone call. It's perfectly fine to and acceptable to answer that emergency email, but we need to step away to do that so that we're representing our groups well. And then how do we keep them coming back? Be accessible to your volunteers. Make sure that they know where to find, if not you, someone who can help them and make sure that they are where they need to be, that they're getting the supplies that they need to have, and that they know exactly what the expectations are. Recognize their contributions, as well as the volunteers themselves, on social media platforms, as well as your website. Highlight them, get their names out there, as well as your thank you, because public recognition is always fantastic. And then recognize efforts not only with a spoken thank you, but a small token of appreciation when you're able. It doesn't take a lot to get people super excited. A sticker, Something as simple as a sticker or a little goodie bag with, let's say some rubber bracelets or, those kind of things, or a Starbucks card because they came and spent their time with you. $5 in Starbucks get you one coffee. That's a small token of thank you when these volunteers are so generous in giving to us. But wait, there's a few more. There's some pointers here that we can give that we can talk about. Make sure that we are valuing the opinions of each and every volunteer. Some of those opinions are going to be hard for us to hear. Some of them are going to be things that, maybe are some critical feedback. But if we don't ever receive critical feedback, we don't know how to get better. We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing each and every time and we're consistently improving. Listen to what the volunteers are saying at all points in time. And if there is ever a point in time where we feel like maybe there's miscommunication, pause and say, what I'm hearing from you is that you had this experience or this is going on currently within your committee. Can you help me to understand and make sure that I have this right? People can come to you sometimes a bit escalated, but a lot of times how you handle and manage that conversation is extremely important. And that is what is going to either make or break that particular situation. If you handle it defensively, if you handle it in I don't have time for this right now because the entire world is going crazy and I have 2,000 kids at my door, Jess Belcher. Um, and I'm not calling you out for ever being like that, but you and the 2,000 kids is where I'm going with that. Um, because I know that your volunteers are some of the most dedicated and amazing people, and they come back year after year. But sometimes we get busy and we don't realize how we may be reacting to someone. To truly sit and listen to them and value their opinion and hear them out, oftentimes a small matter turns into a big matter if we're not willing to take that time and we're not willing to hear what they're actually saying. Be sensitive to people's feelings and emotions. Again, if someone's volunteering for you and they are the introverted person who's really great at stuffing bags, but they hear someone say out loud, well, gosh, so and so's not doing anything over there, they're just over in the corner. That person's probably not ever going to come back again. They don't feel welcome, they don't feel appreciated, they don't have value in other people's eyes or opinions. We don't ever want that to happen. We want to make sure that we're validating how people feel and what their emotions may be. Avoid and minimize the risk of gossip at events. That is something that can give people a really negative taste if people are like, well, this is a great thing that we were just doing, but did you hear what Jesse Rowden just did? Those are things that do not need to occur. If we ever have anything that we need to say to each other, I would hope that y'all feel comfortable enough making a phone call and talking to me so that we can get that hammered out. And we also don't ever want anyone to just get that feeling that this is a really cliquish group that they walked into. It's an environment that is not healthy and happy and safe for them, because if they're willing to talk about Jesse Rowden over there, what in the world are they willing to say about me? Be aware of your volunteers' comfort zone and don't pressure them into crossing it. Again, make sure that people are good where they're supposed to be. Some people cannot handle public speaking. We don't ever want to say, all right, well, get in front of the microphone and we're going to have you just do some quick announcements. Even though in our mind, it may not be a speech, it may not be, something where they're going to spend an hour on the podium. Those quick announcements can be terrifying to someone who may have some social anxiety or any number of things that they just don't like to do. We don't ever want anyone to have a feeling that we're pressuring them into flying. We are an aviation group, but I personally don't fly. As far as being a pilot, I love to fly with a co-pilot. I love to be at the controls. I love that feeling. But someone pressuring me for the fact that I have got to be a pilot and I need to be a pilot right now, that becomes an uncomfortable position for me because that's not where my passion is. That's not what I want to do. I want to do exactly what I'm doing, or I wouldn't be doing it, doggone it. Never create a stereotype for anyone inside or outside of WAI. We all know that there are certain groups out there that are not maybe welcoming to people because you aren't an X, you aren't an engineer, so you can't be a member of our group, or you're not a mechanic and you can't be a member of our group, or you're not a pilot and you can't be a member of our group. That's not who we are. Who we are as an organization is for absolutely positively everyone. We are here to make a difference and change the world. We don't ever want the stereotype to be that, we're angry people who are demanding things that we haven't earned. That's not who we are either. We are a wonderful, giving, loving group of people who is out to help the world and change the world for our peers and everyone, anyone who has an interest in aviation or aerospace. And it can be from an interest to a career to, a hobby to, whatever that happens to be. Take the time to learn something from your volunteers. Ask for, again, that critical feedback. Tell me two things that went right and one thing that went wrong, one thing that we can do better, one thing that you see an area of improvement that we have, or two things that went great, one critical point of feedback, and one idea. Because I'm going to tell you, with traveling around to all of these girls in aviation days, I got some great ideas that I will be taking back home to me. People have these ideas that I never even thought of. How I'm going to use my last event in Northern California, how sail cars and the wind pushing into these sail cars has everything to do with what we're doing. We're teaching these kids how air affects a surface, right? And what happens. I love that idea. So learn from them. And then understand that the relationships are the most important component of any volunteer organization. People absolutely have a choice of where they want to spend their time. And we want to make sure that the choice that they make is with you. Um, Creating those relationships, people will do absolutely anything for anyone that they have a relationship with. They're more hesitant to do things for those who are strangers, or those who may feel as aloof, or any of those things. So make sure that we're really paying attention to these things because they're all very, very important. And remember, everyone is a volunteer and important, including you. As a leader, it's up to you to model a successful path by finding the right tools and teachers to help you lead. You have to set your goals, identify a shared sense of belonging with your team and your volunteers, provide them with the knowledge and support that they need, recognize the unique value that you and your team bring to the organization, and the unique value that every single person that is coming in as a volunteer brings to you as well. Transforming any negative or limiting beliefs into positive enabling ones can exponentially increase the faith and confidence in your abilities as well as those of your team. And when you have those enabling positive facts, beliefs, just the attitude, everyone can feel that. I know people that are in customer service can hear or have heard the saying, when you answer the phone, speak with a smile. People can feel it. They can feel all of that. If you are truly engaged and involved with what you're doing, 100 million billion percent, they're going to want to be a part of it too. It's your passion that is leading them toward this. And last, Lorelai Gilmore, making sure that she is telling Rory how much she loves her at that moment. Volunteers are the only human beings on the face of the earth who reflect compassion, unselfish caring, patience, and just plain loving one another. I really like that quote from Irma Bombeck. I thought that that was a really, really great thing because we do this out of passion. We do it out of caring, but honestly, we do it out of love. We love what we do. We love who we are in this industry. We love the people who are surrounding us. And when people genuinely feel that they are loved and cared for, you already won. So Rory and I, as you know, are always here for you. You can reach Rory, who is currently, she is currently out of town. I did want to say that really quickly. I think her out of office is probably on. She will be back next week while I'm at base, and then I will be at base next week. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to either of us. We are usually pretty darn fast at responding. Again, with the craziness that's going on right now, if I have a delayed response out to someone, it is not a bad idea just to maybe ping me again and put that at the top of my list so that it didn't get lost in the hundreds of other communications that I may have stacked up in there. I'm going to stop sharing now. I have a couple of comments in here. Oh, Joy had to go. Amani, your volunteers, they're such great people, aren't they? Does anyone have any amazing tips that work really well for your chapter that other people can learn from? Again, Jessica Belcher, I'm looking at you because you have the most amazing volunteers. They are so passionate. Things that I didn't include in here that we can put out for the group.
No, I think you covered it really, really well, Jesse. The only thing I would say, just to add maybe a thought to that, is just keep in mind communication is super important with your volunteers and knowing what their communication styles might be. Just as throughout the workforce, we've got different generations, right, that are all taking part in our chapters, which is great. We've got some youngsters, we've got even up to retirees. And within those groups of people, you might have different communication styles. So just keeping in mind of what you're saying or what they might be saying or how a person might want to be communicated with. You know, Jesse, you mentioned sending a text to your volunteers, checking in. That might not be well received by other people within your board or within your volunteer, within your committees. So just knowing what people like, what their preferences are. And I guess one other thought that I've found helpful would be when you're thanking your volunteers, what they want. You know, do they want a public thank you and look at this person and what they did, or do they want a letter in the mail? Or, you know, what would be their preferred means of gratitude sharing, maybe, or trying all of them? Because as you said, you can't say thank you too much. But this was great information, really, really helpful. And thanks for putting this all together for us. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you participating there. Like I said, for those of you that don't know, Jessica's got the Stars of the North chapter. Her chapter has a humongous, ginormous, gigantic Girls in Aviation Day that is extremely successful every year. And they've got some super dedicated volunteers. And so if anyone knows how to do it, Jess and her team know how to do it. And it's constantly evolving. You're constantly experimenting with things that are going on. And people drop off and then they come back. And then sometimes they drop off and they don't come back. Trying to figure out maybe just somebody's not in the right spot and it's not where they're comfortable. Maybe they are really good with numbers, but they work numbers all day long. And so they don't want to be in your fundraising or your treasurer. Maybe they really, really want to be the person who, is facilitating the experiment somewhere or in for Girls in Aviation Day. Again, I've got Girls in Aviation Day on the brain. We just got done with that one, but there are so many other opportunities that we do out in our communities, right? Um, is it the right fit? Is it what they want to do? Is it where they want to be and how they want to be able to contribute? Some people, hey, if you can just put this mail in the mailbox for us, I have the letter pre-typed. I'm going to print it. I'm going to, send you with these letters and a stack of envelopes. Can you get the letters in the mail for me? That's something that people will be willing to do for you. And it may be the perfect fit for them at the time. They can do it after work once the kids are in bed and dinner is done, or the dogs have been taken for a walk, or whatever it is that happens to be done in their lives. They don't have hours to give to a particular thing, but they do have that 20 minutes where they can sit down and lick and stick some envelopes for you. And that's just as valuable, because that's now freeing another member of the team to go be able to take care of something else. Beth, I can send you the slides if you would like. They're usually pretty big files, so that's a little difficult, but the webinar is being recorded and it always does go onto our WAI YouTube channel. Usually within a day or so, Kelly's got that posted for us. So you can review it that way. And then again, I'll try to figure out how to get you the file. If you've got a Dropbox, that's an easy file transfer way. You can send me information on how to get this to you. Whoops, my fingers got ahead. J. Rowden at WAI.org. There we go. You can send me a quick hello, and I will try to get those to you, or what you feel like the best way to get those is. Clarissa, you've got some feedback? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I was going to ask Jessica to give me her email so that I could get help. We're trying to do a conference, and someone mentioned doing a Girls in Aviation Day. I had mentioned it a while back, but then they said, remember, we could do that. And so I'm with Women in Aviation and also the 99s. So I would love to be able to get some tips on how to do a successful Girls in Aviation Day. I'm in Sacramento, California. So
Oh, and I just got back from Sacramento
you
on
did?
Sunday, Monday. I was at the Aerospace Museum. They're fantastic. That is
Yes,
such a cool place. I absolutely loved it.
yes.
So yeah, you Jess can definitely help with that. We also have an event host kit that is on our Girls in Aviation Day resources page. So if you go to the website and then go under either Girls in Aviation Day or chapter resources, I put it in two places for everyone. There,
Okay.
there are resources for our event hosts, and there's a document that Annie and I have put together. We are also available at any point in time to help with all things Girls in Aviation Day related. I do want
Yes.
to say, just volunteered. Oh, at the Amelia Earhart Museum. I'm jealous. I'm so close right now. I am in Kansas City right now. But we're on a quick trip. My son and I went to a football game last night for a very special mom and me first time for both of us actually at Arrowhead Stadium. So we're on a quick trip. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to Amelia Earhart. Um, there's all kinds of things, and if you're not already a member of the chapter leaders private Facebook page, I would highly recommend joining that as well, because we're really, really getting active and interactive on that page. People are asking great questions. There's all kinds of really good feedback. And I think that that's an important resource as well, both for just chapter leadership in general and Girls in Aviation Day questions.
Okay.
So, is there anyone else? I'm so excited to see everyone here today. I'm just happy. I'm happy, and I'm happy that I also get to see lots and lots of y'all next week at NBA Base. That's going to be super fun. So I'll be really glad. Stop by the booth and see us if you all are there. Trish and I will be there representing. And we'll have our Las Vegas chapter. Speaking of volunteers, I need to say a humongous thank you to our Las Vegas chapter, because they are coming out in full force. They're going to come out and help Trish and I staff that booth there at MBAA Base and spread the good word about WAI and make sure that we have the opportunity to eat and drink and go to the ladies' room if we need to, because base is busy, as anyone who's ever been knows. It's a busy time. So with 2 people, it's going to be fun. We're really excited to be able to have that opportunity to hang out with our Las Vegas chapter. And there's always opportunities for volunteerism within, with the organization, with Women in Aviation International. We always need volunteers at our Sun and Fun and at our breakfasts and at our Oshkosh events. Come by and see us and say hi and talk to all of these amazing people, because the more of us that are spreading this love, this amazing path that we're on out there, the more people that we're going to be able to get out and get engaged and involved. So if there are no other questions or commentary, I have an order of business for my chapter leaders. I just sent out the 1st of October. It is that time of year for your taxes. 990 ends. The window for filing opens in October and it closes on February 15th. So you will be getting monthly reminders from me, because unfortunately I can't, with the way that our mail system works, I can't pull out those people who have already responded to me. So if you've already done it, ignore it. If you haven't done it, make sure that it's on your radar to get done, because the last thing that you want is for me to be desperately emailing you and calling you and saying, hey, by the way, we really need to do taxes. It's really easy. Take a look at the email that was sent to you. It is legitimately about a 4.5-minute process. It does not take long at all. If you're not set up already in the system, that's going to be what takes you the longest, because you have to enter some information as far as like addresses and the name of the chapter. And that's about it. Everything else is a click box and you're done. For those chapters who may have raised more than $50,000, it may be a little bit more involved than that. There are different forms other than the 990N that need to be filled out, but less than $50,000, it's called a 990N. It is all electronically filed. And again, very, very easy. We've had a couple of questions about good standing certificates and your letters of good standing. Rory and I have just gotten through, Rory has just gotten through all of the annual reports, and we will be issuing those letters of good standing and the chapter certificates in November. So she and I are really trying to put this process into a very streamlined, when everything's occurring. So we know that everything has to be turned in April. It takes us time to get through all of the information that's given to us. We want to make sure that you receive those by November. Those are going to be our new dates going forward. And I really, really, really want everyone to be watching their email, because we have an amazing announcement. Rory Einbinder, the brains of this operation, I just help her, just so everyone knows. Rory is really, really fantastic. Rory figured out in the system how to give chapter leadership access to their rosters at any time. I know, I'm so excited. So we will be sending out an email with all of the details, how to get that done. Your leaders, it will go to your leadership's personal email addresses, and as your leadership changes, then past leadership will not have access, current leadership will have access, and that's how that's going to run. So with that, you're going to have access to your rosters at all points in time. You can get into them whenever you need to get into them. And then we will be doing the chapter rebate reminders biannually, so twice a year. We'll do, and that way you know exactly what you've got for your rebates in the bank. But that is super, super exciting news. She's technologically a genius, and I'm so excited and proud of her. And I don't know what I would do without her. But that is a huge change for anyone who is familiar with the roster process and having to ask us for them and all of those good things. So we're very excited to make that announcement. And I should have that email out when I get back from base. I'm trying to work on building all of that and putting it together now, and I should have it back to you within the next week or so. So great things. We are at 11:48. I'm not going to keep yammering because I love you all so much. I could just talk to you forever. But everyone's time is precious and valuable. So be well and have a wonderful, wonderful month until I see you again in November.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jessie. See you in Vegas.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everybody.